let's get to the news. And starting off, we have some very exciting news for Star Wars X-Wing. Ben, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so Fantasy Flight Games announced during their Galactic report this week that they're going to be doing X-Wing 2nd Edition. So yes, X-Wing is going to be coming back with a new sheen to it. There is going to be a whole bunch of mechanical and sort of integral changes to how the game works, just so that it makes it a little bit more streamlined. The game has got huge, as you can imagine by now. It's been around for a very long time, a very serious amount of years now, and so this update is pretty much there to kind of tighten everything up a little bit more and make it so it's easier for new players to come into the game and start playing it, as well as try and satisfy a lot of the veterans of the game as well. So one of the big things they've been showing off as part of their announcement was the fact that there's going to be a 2nd edition conversion kit. So there's going to be conversion kits for the Rebel Alliance, the Galactic Empire, and Scum and Villainy. So all of the ships that you already own, they're all going to be able to be transferred over into what you're playing in 2nd edition. All you got to do is get your hands on the conversion kit, which will allow you to play around with a lot more of the new mechanics, and obviously add in some of the new elements for all the different ships as well as you're playing through that. One of the big things they talked about actually when it comes to the way that factions work is they're going to try and enforce a lot personality into the different factions now. So when you're playing Rebel Alliance, when you're playing Galactic Empire, when you're playing Scum and Villainy, they're all going to feel very much like they should be in the world. Because a lot of people were saying that when it came to Scum and Villainy, for example, you're picking up a lot of the ships there, and they feel like you're basically just playing Rebel Alliance with a different skin, whereas it's going to try and add a little bit more of a layer of narrative and everything and a character to the top of this as well. One of the other big things they're going to be doing as part of this is they're going to be throwing into the mix a new app. So there's going to be an app for you to build your squadrons with, which will be where they'll be updating and changing the rules for all the cards going forward as well. So you don't necessarily need everything down on the tabletop now. You can just have it all as part of an electronic device if you want to instead, which is pretty much a surefire way of making sure that everything stays level in the tournament scene. Stops you having to rebuy loads and loads of decks later on and such like so forth. We've seen a lot of other companies doing exactly the same kind of thing as well. For example, Privateer Press does that as well, has been doing that with the new edition and things. One of the cool things that came up mechanically about the game and what's been changing is they're going to be putting a lot more emphasis on how the Force works. So a lot of the Force-sensitive pilots, be they for the Rebels or the enemies and stuff like that, they're going to be able to use Force to change dice rolls and things like that. So Luke Skywalker is going to have a lot more influence in the way that dice are rolled on the tabletop as well. So it's not just necessarily about the pilot's skill, but it's about their ability to use the Force, which kind of adds a little bit more of a layer of that Star Wars feel to everything on the tabletop as well, and kind of heightens the kind of the mitigation of luck as well, which is pretty cool. So maybe you'll see a lot more of those more traditional pilots coming back through into the mix as well here. When it comes to what they're actually going to have been showing off for the release of 2nd edition, they're going to be doing a set of different fighters. I think there's 2 for each. So you've got the X-Wing, the Y-Wing, the TIE Advanced, Slave One, and the Fang Fighter. So you've got some iconic ships there to play around with when it comes to X-Wing 2.0. I think, from what I've been looking at, the models seem to have got a little bit of a paint upgrade as well. It looks like a lot of the models are looking a little bit more like cleaner, I guess you'd say, and the painting on them is a little bit more matte, I think, as well. I'd probably say as well. But
there's something I think you've missed as well, Ben.
Oh.
If I'm right, from what I've had a look through this myself, I think things like the X-Wings are actually going to have a couple of moving components.
Oh,
yes,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of people will have seen that back with the some of the ships they did in the past. I think it was the Imperial Shuttle had the wings that went up and stuff like that. The X-Wing, you'll actually be able to open and close the S-foils, so you can actually move them around on the tabletop, which is really cool. And it's one of those nice little things that will be cool for the game.
Well, that should also have an effect on how the X-Wing actually acts within the game, as to whether they're open or closed.
I don't care. I just want the models just so I can play with the wings. Just do that all day. I'm happy.
We all do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for a lot of people, be it new players or veterans, X-Wing 2.0 is not very far away at all, and I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting time for Fantasy Flight Games, looking at trying to bring this game back onto the tabletop with a new skin to it as well. Yeah.
I'm very excited for this news, as X-Wing is one of those games I know has a very strong following. It's one I've always wanted to get stuck into, but
X-Wing for me has always been a bit of a strange game, because one of the trips I went to across in England, I actually walked into, well, there was a dual event on, right? So one side was War Machine, the other, there was an X-Wing tournament.
Yeah.
And me having the press badge, I snuck in, obviously.
Of course.
Just to have a bit of a gander about.
Well,
you walk into
the press badge is officially allowing us to be nosy. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I walked into this tournament, and you know the way normally a tournament's quite loud, quite busy?
Yeah.
It was so quiet. It freaked me out a little bit. I don't know why.
And you went in there and just disrupted
everybody. No, everybody was just so razor focused on the table, getting the angles just perfect. You know, I think competitive X-Wing can be a little cutthroat. You know, you're aiming everything down to the last, you know, like micromillimeter of angle turning.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Well, yeah. I'm fascinated to see what it looks like on the tabletop. Hopefully we get a chance to play the game ourselves and show it off in the studio and stuff. But for the meantime, there is actually a video as part of that news piece that we're showing off there, which was done by Team Cov. So if you want to go and check out Team Covenant and their sort of view on how the game plays and stuff, you can go and have a look at that and see how it all comes together as in the new edition. So yeah, hopefully we'll have some in the studio. I actually played. I never played X-Wing, even when it was like really big, and then maybe towards the end of last year I was starting to get back into Star Wars and stuff like that and playing Destiny, and I just turned around to my friend and I was like, can you just show me how to play X-Wing just so I've got a kind of understanding of how it works? And my dice rolling was abysmal. It was the worst luck. The 4 against me, clearly something thought I was a Sith or whatever, and but it was good fun though. It was really fun playing it, so good game.
Well, maybe now you have access to Force powers, you can do something about that.
Yes!
This is not the result I was looking for.